Hi, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Before I get into the topic here, I want to thank Zombie Farmer for this shirt. This is I just got it in the mail the other day, and it is a great shirt. If you can see it, it's got his logo up here, and it's got the barbed wire on the sleeves, and on the back, it's got his slogan, which is "Stay the course, keep the faith, and see you on the flip side," and a cross, which is very cool. And Zombie, thanks a lot. I'll be wearing this a lot of places up here in Kansas and Missouri, so a lot of people will be seeing your name. Real World Prepper, got yours in I thought my guru was giving me an eye about something. Everything okay? All right. I thought maybe something happened with the video. Anyway, Real World Prepper, got yours in the mail too. Thank you very much. It is a cool one, and I'll be wearing that probably in the next video, and I'll be wearing that around a lot too. And both of these are very good quality. This one, it just feels great, and it's going to be a shirt that I'm going to like wearing, as well as that it looks good. So anyway, this is how we support each other, and I would suggest, matter of fact, I saw just yesterday, I think, on Real World Preppers, that somebody brought up, or he mentioned my books, and somebody else asked him a question about it, and then several people commented, and thank you, Real World, for mentioning those, and thank you people who commented and who liked them and are spreading the word on that. You know, we're each trying to have a positive impact on people and preparedness and survival and kind of talking about how to approach things going on in this world, and they do it, you know, in their videos so well, as do some others, but these two guys, you know, I'm talking about specifically now, they do it so well that this is how we should really support them. You know, buy their shirts, subscribe to their channels, you know, tell people about them and share them and get that word out even more. I do it through my books. I'm not so much, you know, I mean, I'm on YouTube, but I'm not near like those guys. I do it through my books, and so I appreciate so much for all of you who read them, who pass them on, you know, their availability to your friends, and give them good reviews and suggest them to others. And I appreciate your support in that very much. So anyway, what I was going to say today is, you know, we got a lot of crazy things going on in the world, and there's plenty to be concerned about. You know, different people will have different primary concerns. Really, probably the best way to approach it is to be concerned about everything in kind of an even way, because you never know what's going to happen. Many years ago, when I was just a young cop, still in uniform, I was talking to how should I say, an established person in organized crime. And organized crime, right? I should interject here that I've been fortunate to have an interesting life and do a number of interesting things, and meet some interesting people, and until I got in my late 40s and settled down and got married and had kids, and then my life became interesting in a different way, but far more fulfilling. Before that, it was interesting and exciting, and so I gleaned a lot of experience and lessons from it. Anyway, I was talking to this guy, and he said, "Smith, you know, you are out here risking your butt every day. You're risking your life for people who don't care about you, couldn't care less about you. You're trying to save a world that doesn't want to be saved." And you know, I'll tell you what, I had a lot of altruism when I started. I wanted to save the world. I was a true believer. I thought that the world was going to be, you know, a better place because I was out there, and it didn't take long for me to recognize the fallacy in that, as many of us do. But he said, you know, look where you are, he says. You're working on weekends, you're working on Sundays, you're working on holidays, you're working on birthdays. You're out here, you're risking your neck for what? He says, you know where, and he went on and he said something that he was exactly right about. He said, you know, Cops, you guys have unbelievable rates of divorce, of alcoholism, and of suicide. And why? You're putting yourselves out as little sacrificial lambs for a world that doesn't really care about you. And I'll tell you right now, his words have more truth in them than I can explain in this short little time. He said, you know where we are, and he was talking about him and the people in his group. On Sundays, we're at church with our families. On family birthdays, we're at home with that child who has a birthday. On Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and Easter, we're in church with our families, and we are at home with our families celebrating those holidays. On the important days of the life, we're there. We don't miss our kids' baseball games and our daughters' dance recitals like you guys do, speaking of law enforcement. He says we do this because we think that our families are the most important thing in life, and you guys think that you're serving a purpose higher than yourself. Interesting observation. It was a little bit close to what my dad had told me when I'd first gone into law enforcement, and it would take me a long time to explain my full feelings about this. He says, and we were talking a little bit more about politics, and he said, we don't care who wins a political race. We don't care. They're all going to have strengths and weaknesses. They're all going to have problems for us. No matter who gets in, there's going to be a way to deal with them. And that's what we pay attention to. How do we deal with that to preserve our families, to preserve our way of life, to preserve our way of honor? And if anybody is out there thinking, well, what kind of honor could they have? Well, there is some. There's a lot, and not all of them. Some of them, like the rest of the world, some are more honorable than others. Isn't that true? Okay. But the lesson that he had included in that was that no matter what happens to the world around you, you have to find the way to keep it from negatively impacting your family, and a way to continue to build your family and keep the best for your family, to raise your kids according to the things that you feel are important. And I know that there may be some people out here, and maybe someday I'll do an in-depth series on this, because most people really don't have an understanding of this, other than if they saw The Godfather, which was a good movie, and The Goodfellas, which wasn't, and some others. They don't have an understanding of this. There's a lot more there that's interesting. But to taking care of your family, and the reason that this group has the feelings that they do, is because Italy and Sicily, and there's a difference between the two different groups. There's a difference between the Italians and the Sicilians, and either one will be happy to tell you, if they were going to tell you, which they won't. They were, and I'll talk specifically about the Sicilians. Their country was conquered and oppressed by wave after wave after wave of conquerors. Okay. And look up the history of Sicily, and you'll find it's very fascinating. And they had to find a way to live and to operate and to support their families and to keep their families safe under wave after wave after wave of different governments and the oppression of those subsequent governments. Okay. So the lessons here are very, very interesting. And I would suggest, and I just realized now, I am going to have to go into this in more depth in further videos, but I think there's a good lesson in that, and I would put that out there for your consideration. Pay attention to what's going on politically and in the world and everything, whether it's Second Amendment rights, whether it's First Amendment rights, whether it's what party gets in, what taxes, what restrictions are going to be placed on you. Okay, be smart about it. Keep track of it. know what's going on around you. But in every case, think, what am I going to do to ensure that my family and I continue to do well, to prosper, to survive even in this, in whatever the situation brings us. And I'd say one last thing also to anybody out there saying, well, I can't believe that you are promoting organized crime and all this stuff, and they do horrible things. Well, first off, I'm not promoting organized crime. I'm passing on a lesson from a person that he shared with me. And secondly, think about the things that they do that are so horrible in your mind, as opposed to our vaunted and illustrious government. Okay? Do they kill people? Let's see. Does organized crime kill people? Yep. Does our government? Yep. Okay. Do they sway political power? Yep. Yep. Okay. Are some involved in dealing drugs? Yep, some. Not all on organized crime work. Okay. Government? Yep. Okay. Gambling. You know, there's a lot of those guys went to prison for doing what the government later did when they passed the state lotteries. Okay. But they were sent to prison because they had a poker machine in the back room of their bar. Is that fair? Okay. That shows you what happens when a government wants to try to shut you down. Gambling? Yep. Yep. Liquor? Yep. Yep. Okay. You won't find anything in organized crime that hasn't been done to a larger extent by, shall we say, other forces. Okay. So with that, and I'm going to expand on this another time, but that is a good lesson passed on from people who have had to learn for generations and generations and hundreds of years how to survive and thrive under an oppressive wave of different governments, and the things the way they learned how to do it. So think for yourself. I'm not telling you to do what they did. You know, don't go to Goodfellas or the Godfather and say, okay, that's how I'm going to handle it. You know, I'll leave the gun, take the cannoli kind of thing. You know. But realize that it's up to you. You are the one who has to decide how best to kind of navigate the waters of a changing world and ensure that your family is well taken care of no matter what happens, because that is the epitome of preparedness and survival. Okay. So with that, again, Zombie, thanks for the shirt, buddy. I love it. I'm going to be wearing it out today. And you all have a good day, and remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And remember the advice of the Godfather. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.